everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Jesus Talks. I am your host, Dari. I'm very excited to announce that we have another episode of season two. We just wrapped up season one not too long ago. So I'm really excited for that. As you guys can see, we are changing things up a bit. You guys have seen that we already had a couple of guests on. We had Barton on last time. We got our fellow Oriental Orthodox brother from the Armenian side. And then you guys will see that we'll also be having on Father Lazarus as well in the upcoming week. But today, I have a very special guest with us today, another fellow Oriental Orthodox brother. We have with us Subdeacon Daniel. So, Daniel, Subdeacon, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you so much for wanting to have this conversation with us. I'm really excited to dive deep, guys, because we're going to get into a little bit of his testimony. We're going to get into some of the differences and similarities that we have. Because you guys know I'm Roman Catholic, but he is Oriental. We'll be sure. So, all right. So, brother. So, first off, thank you for being here with us today. So, why don't you kind of just share with us a little bit about who you are? What do you do? You know, sure, just start.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ari. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been Orthodox. I was chrismated Holy Saturday of 2013. Was May. After a few years of looking into things, it took me a few years, and I became a subdeacon January 2018, the Syriac Orthodox Church, where I'm currently serving.
And so, for those who aren't familiar, now, we kind of talked about this a little bit that there are different groups of Oriental Orthodoxy. So if you guys don't remember, for those watching, we had Barton on. He was part of the Armenian group. So you are from a different group as well, same communion but different. So can you kind of explain to us like what the difference is?
Yeah, so these are patriarchates or churches in communion together. So I'm under the Church of Antioch. My patriarch, His Holiness Mar Ephraim II, is the successor of St. Peter in the Church of Antioch. He is in communion with Pope Tawadros II of Alexandria, also a successor of St. Peter there. We are in communion with the Armenians and the Abyssinians. So these each are distinct churches with their own tradition, their own right, very diverse, but we share the same faith and are therefore in communion together.
And so you guys have what's called liturgy. So can you kind of explain to us what, or at least in your group, like what you guys do in liturgy? Like what is that like for anybody who maybe has never visited one, never attended one?
Yeah, I think the Western name for it is Mass. So the liturgy is the prayer that was delivered to us from the beginning by the apostles, in which we offer up the Eucharist. And there are different liturgies for different things. So, like, for example, the baptismal rite, or the burial rite, or the wedding rite, or the daily prayer, like the liturgy of the hours for the daily prayer. So the main one obviously is the one in which the Eucharist is offered.
So you guys do hold on to the Eucharist. Do you guys believe that is the true body and blood of Jesus?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So you guys do believe that. What about the Immaculate Conception?
Of Jesus or of Mary?
Mary.
Okay, so we believe that Virgin Mary, never sinned. We believe that she was purified at her Annunciation, that when Gabriel came and told her that she will give birth to God incarnate, that she was purified at that moment. Saint Ephrem calls it her baptism, and that she later on in her life she died, and Christ raised her from the dead, and she was assumed bodily into heaven.
Okay. And then next thing is, so we mentioned that you're a subdeacon. So what does that mean?
It means that I'm a servant on the altar for the priests and the deacons, and obviously whoever the celebrant is, whether he's the patriarch, the bishop, the priest, the deacons, etc. I'm just a servant on the altar.
So is it like a chain thing where it's like, oh, you're gonna move up to being a deacon later on, or
So, like the Catholics, like the Roman Catholic Church, we have the same rule where if I become a deacon, If I become a full deacon, that means I can't get married anymore. So unless I'm already married and then I become a full deacon, that's fine. But if I become a full deacon without being married, then I can't be married again anymore.
Okay, okay. So are you moving up to wanting to become a deacon, or do you are you
I would rather get married first.
you rather get married first before you decide to? Okay, okay. And then, so I guess my next question is, how do you guys differ from Eastern Orthodoxy?
So there are a lot of differences. Like I guess the most obvious one for anybody who's just doing the eyeball test is that the Eastern Orthodox are not they're not liturgically diverse. They all of them they belong to the same rite. It's the Byzantine rite of liturgy. They all do the liturgy of Saint John Chrysostom. Whether you're Russian or Greek or Albanian or Georgian, whatever you are, they're all doing the same liturgy. Whereas Oriental Orthodoxy, like I said earlier, is very diverse per jurisdiction. That's the first difference. The second difference is obviously the Christology, the two natures versus the one nature, and then all the things that correspond to that. I would say ecclesiology could be different too. It depends who you ask, but it depends on how much weight the Eastern Orthodox individual gives to the emperor or the empire. But like I would say, maybe we're closer in some aspects to say the in ecclesiology to the Russians than to Constantinople. But on the other hand, I would also say our ecclesiology is closer to the Roman Catholic Church than to Constantinople as well.
Okay. So is it more of so with you guys and then with the Eastern Orthodoxy, is this a situation where you guys were united at one point and then it kind of like broke off, or was this something that's was like, you get what I'm trying to say? Like,
So
or was
The Eastern Orthodox, we view them as the first Eastern replacements of us. So like when the break with us and Rome happened, it happened in 449 AD, the Roman Catholic Church and Oriental Orthodoxy. That's when the break happened. So we believe Rome created the Eastern Orthodox in the East to be our replacements. So we
wow.
don't view, yeah, like we were claiming the name Orthodox centuries before they did. Before they did, and also they were like the first Eastern Catholic uniates, if you will. Just like how right now there are Eastern Catholics like Melkites, Chaldeans, whatever. We view them as the first Eastern Catholics before they left Rome later.
Okay, 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 that makes sense. And I guess another thing is, so I've noticed that there's been a huge rise, and you guys are starting to be a lot more open. Oriental Orthodox is starting to be shined a lot more, especially on social media. I don't know what happened, but like I know at one point, like Eastern Orthodoxy was popping, like it was on fire, and then all of a sudden, it's like you guys are suddenly being shined into. People are starting to dive deeper into like what is Oriental Orthodoxy. I've never heard of it before. Why do you think that is? Like all of a sudden everything is just kind of coming together. Because I've noticed that there's a lot more people that are a lot more aware that they're
Yeah,
a group.
I think that we haven't been here as long as everyone else has been here in the West. And so us being kind of the latest to the game in the West in the Western hemisphere of the world, we kind of were because we're starting off a little bit behind. And now that we're able to kind of get some stuff out there, it's giving people kind of it's making people look twice. So if you're coming from, a tradition that isn't Catholic or Eastern Orthodox and you're inquiring, usually it used to be that we weren't even considered. Like no one, either they wouldn't know who we were or they didn't understand the difference or they kind of just included us into Eastern Orthodox or whatever it is. But now that we have our own, like we're speaking for ourselves, not others are speaking for us, and our resources are available. I think that's kind of becoming the appeal that they have a side to the story, you know.
Yeah. And so I also know that you have your own YouTube channel as well called The Lion's Den. So how did that start? What made you want to start sharing your faith online?
So I wasn't, and I still am like not that consistent about it. Even when I started it like my brother was really pushing me to start it. I was just kind of going around on the channels, like whether it was William's channel or Craig Trulia's channel or whoever, just different channels. And that I was happy doing that. Uh, but it was not just my I have my one of my mentor also, he was telling me to do it. So just a lot of people pushing me in that direction. I'm like, let's do it. Fine.
Have you received a lot of positive feedback into sharing your faith online?
Yeah, yeah, more than I deserve, I think. A lot of people find the information very useful. Like it really saved a lot of people's, personal situations. Somehow God used it. He used the he used the donkey in the Old Testament. So um and a lot of yeah, a lot of people reached out to me like that. I wasn't expecting, and I was very humbled by that. One of the videos, even His Holiness the Patriarch of Antioch watched it, and he messaged me about it, giving me his blessing. So that's something that I won't forget.
That's crazy though. That's really cool that you get to have that. So I guess another topic that I know that this is one of our differences that we have is you guys don't uphold to the papacy, obviously.
The papacy,
Um,
the papacy
yeah.
of Rome, right?
Yes. So can you dive deep into why is that? Like how did you guys interpret
Yeah.
uh,
So
the whole Peter situation being like, hey, upon you I
yeah,
will build my rock.
yeah, yeah. Good question. So we absolutely recognize that Rome is a patrine see established by Saint Peter, absolutely. But we don't believe it's the only one, and we also don't believe Rome thinks that it's the only one either. Like I said earlier, Peter established the Church of Antioch before he established any other church, and he established Alexandria via Mark while he was in Rome. So when Christ tells him, and he says it in our language. Syriac is Aramaic. So Christ is the language that Christ spoke. And we still, till today, pray in this language. We're the only tradition in the world. When I say we, I mean my ethnic group, in this case, not my particular church. So, like, including, say, Chaldeans, Assyrian Church of the East, this is all my people. So, we're the only ones who can say that when the apostles brought the message to us, we're the only ones who didn't need translation. Everywhere else, whether Latin, Greek, Coptic, Armenian, it doesn't matter. The message was translated for them. For us, it was in Aramaic, and we received it in Aramaic, and we speak Aramaic and pray in Aramaic until today. So when Christ is speaking to Peter, he tells him, "You are Kepa, and upon this Kepa I will build my church." It's the same word in both spots. It means the rock. So Peter is the rock along with his confession. This is an inseparable thing. It's not just his confession or just his person. It's two sides to the same coin. Once you separate one from the other, so you lose this. So Peter established the church in Antioch first. Then he went to Rome and established the church there. So we view Rome, and where he died. We view Rome as having first an honor in a united church. But where we disagree with the papal dogmas about is that we don't believe he has universal jurisdiction over the whole world. And we don't believe that he has the special charism of ex cathedra.
So okay. So you guys don't have your own pope, but you guys have your own, what do you guys call it?
We have our own popes, but our
Oh, you
popes
do?
have, yeah, so like the Copts have their pope, we have our patriarch, and these are the heads. We view them equal in communion together. So if the Pope of Rome was in communion, he would be one of these.
Okay. So each group has
Head.
their own basically.
Yeah.
Okay. But don't you, and I'm gonna press you a little bit on this.
That's
Don't you
okay.
think it would be easier to just have one? instead of having so many.
But that's not how the early church was. The
So, because I
primitive
mean,
church.
Peter was considered like from my understanding, the Peter was considered like the main person that was given the keys. So you would think that by it being one person, you would think that'd be logical to kind of have just one person.
Right, right.
Again,
So,
not me.
but again, so Peter was in Antioch. So who's if there's only one Peter and Peter was in Antioch, so is Antioch Peter or is Rome Peter?
Okay, okay, I guess I could put so. The only reason I'm asking is again because I don't think a lot of people realize that that's one of the big differences that we have. So another one is, do you guys believe in the intercession of saints?
Of course.
You guys believe in the intercession?
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys have different saints than what we do, or do you guys hold both the same saints that we do? Or
We share many of the same saints in the first 450 years, approximately 400 years. And then there is a discrepancy after that until a point when some of our people became Catholic, like Syriac Catholics, Chaldean Catholics, etc. So then more of our saints were added into the Roman Catholic saints.
okay,
Yeah.
so what is your percep like? So if somebody came up to you and was like, "Hey, I am a Catholic and I am wanting to explore Oriental Orthodoxy," what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe considering that? Or maybe maybe they're Eastern Orthodox and they're like, you know what, I want to dive deep into Oriental Orthodoxy. Like what advice would you give them?
Well, I would see like what it is that they're inquiring about exactly. Like, is it history? Is it Christology, liturgy? Like, what is their kind of area of interest? So I could be of any help to them. And I would advise them, like, more important than reading all of these things is actually going to liturgy. So find like a church near you and go to the liturgy there. I know someone who I he was Roman Catholic, and be I would have these discussions with him for years, for hours on the phone, all the time for years, and nothing convinced him. And he would try to convince me too, to be fair. Like we would like in a loving way, we would try to convince each other. And then one day he goes into the Coptic liturgy and he's like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then he's Coptic now.
Okay. So really just attending into the liturgy. Um Due to the rise of Oriental Orthodoxy, again, like I mentioned, like there's been a huge rise in it in social media. Have you have you encountered any Protestants that maybe are like maybe interested in the faith or maybe have wanted to have discussions with you that's like, hey, so why this?
Yeah, yeah. We've had multiple situations of, baptisms in my parish for converts. Also, I think in the Syriac Orthodox Church in the Netherlands, they had like 70 catechumen and baptized them. Usually, the Protestants will find us after looking into the history of Christianity. Whether they stumble upon our videos online or something, preferably if they're reading like Saint Ephrem, and this has happened before, or they'll read Saint Ephrem and then they want to find the Church of Saint Ephrem, the Syriac speaking, church, the tradition, the church that holds the tradition of Saint
Okay.
Ephrem.
Um so another thing that have encountered is that a lot of people have said that you guys have a lot of beautiful liturgy. So talk to us like so I know that you mentioned that you're over here helping out like the priests and stuff. So what are some duties that you do like inside the church and maybe outside of the church, if anything?
Okay, so the first duty of the deacon is to set up the tables and the chairs and to kind of help do the stuff that nobody else wants to do, like if we're supposed to pass things out to the people or like the widows, the orphans, this kind of thing. At this point in time, if that stuff isn't necessary to do, it is not needed at this moment in time. It's really at, you know, the behest of the priest, like, go get me this thing, go do that thing. So, like, the preparatory things before liturgy, where like we're helping around the altar, or after, or if there's a situation in like a hospital that the priest has to go to do anointing of the sick or something, and he needs a deacon with him, or a funeral, and there's like last minute he needs, like, he'll just call one of us, we'll go. It's like that.
Okay. Um, my next thing is, so we just talked a little bit about the intercession of saints. So I guess my thing is, so what is your perception of the saints? Just to clarify, like, do you have any favorite saints maybe that you like to pray to? Is there one that maybe your church leans on the most, or at least your group?
So Mother Mary is who I ask the most to pray for me, and Saint Ephrem is my favorite in terms of his writings, who I like to read the most, and obviously I ask from him, and Saint Daniel, who is my patron.
Can you tell us a little bit about about those saints?
Sure, Mother Mary, the Mother of God, but she doesn't need an introduction.
I never know. It seems
Everyone knows. And Saint Ephrem, we call him in Syriac the Son, S-U-N, the Son of the Syrians, the Son of my people, because he's the light of our tradition. We believe his poetry is inspired by God, equal to the Psalms. So we chant his hymns every liturgy. He was just a deacon, by the way. He became a deacon like near the end of his life. He didn't want it most of the time. There's a church, it's still standing. It's called the Church of Saint Jacob of Nisibis. Saint Jacob Nisibis was a bishop who attended the Council of Nicaea in 325, and his crypt, Saint Jacob's crypt, is in that church. Saint Ephrem built the baptistry there, and it's still standing. He died while helping people with tuberculosis. He caught it and he died. So he's very famous. Probably, actually, not probably, I would say, he is the greatest poet of all time. If one can read him in Syriac without translation, that he's the greatest poet of all time, any genre. And Saint Daniel the prophet, who's in the Bible with the lion's den. I know that's why I named the channel that. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Yeah, 'cause I had a feeling it was probably related to that. So it's good that you confirmed it, 'cause I was gonna ask earlier, and I was like, I'm just gonna have him dive deep into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've seen you, or at least I've seen you, and a lot of people who do support a lot of the other channels as well. They've seen you around a lot. You've been invited to speak with Sam. You've been on William's channel as well, and a couple of others. Do you have a favorite channel that you've been on? I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. You don't have to say William. It's okay.
I love all of those guys. Really, I love them, like, genuinely. Elijah Yassi, I go the furthest back with him. He's the one who introduced me to the church fathers in the first place. I will be eternally indebted to him. But as a channel, I don't know. I don't know. I would maybe, I think I've been on Williams the most time, like in terms of number. I've been on Williams the most. So I think I have to say that out of appreciation. I appreciate William, and I appreciate the like him bringing me on as many times as he did. So
Even though I feel like, I mean, do you guys ever like talk about like the differences? Because I know, for example, like we talked a little bit about like papacy wise and all that. Do you guys ever get heated into it, or really get into it, or do you guys are just like, like, we know I'm not gonna change your mind about it, so.
it's funny because in when we're talking, actually talking to each other, no. But when it's messages in a group, and then not everybody catches all the messages of the back and forth, and they need clarification. So maybe one of us will like come in late, and then it'll cause a little bit of confusion. So then, but as soon as that's clarified, it's done, like, right away. I wouldn't say William and I have ever gotten into it.
That's good though. I mean,
Yeah.
because we do see that there's a lot of people that like, I have heard people that say like, oh, you shouldn't make contact with other people with different beliefs than yours, because what if they try to, what if they try to convert you and stuff? But for me, I feel like it's good to have those different conversations, because it's healthy. I mean, if you're able to converse with somebody with a different belief than yours, like, you might actually have a lot more similarities than we may think.
So Elijah Yassi and I, the last 2 days, we've been talking about that. And I think we've made a lot of progress on a lot of our differences. We're going to make a show. I think we're going to do a show on it soon, and we'll see. I think maybe Catholics and Oriental Orthodox will get mad at us, but let's see.
Yeah, I got a backlash for inviting Martin on.
You
Like, I was
did?
like, dude,
Uh,
I got that, and I laughed about it, and he laughed about it too.
It's
Like,
funny because I've done a million shows on William's channel. As far as I know, nobody said anything to William about it.
they probably won't say anything to him, but because I'm a smaller channel,
I see.
and like Vartan's is still he has a pretty good decent following, but a lot of people got mad at him for recording with me. So that was the thing.
Really?
They're like, yeah, because they're like, why are you like, why are
Yeah, no one
you?
said anything to me. I go on Craig's channel, I go on William's channel, no problem. The Syrian Church to the East, one of my closest friends, Syrian Church to the East, he's on my channel all the time.
But it is difficult. I feel like it is much more in common with smaller channels than it
Mm,
is with bigger channels when you see that, you know? Like I already gave my point of view, which I already said, like, hey, like I invited him on because I
mhm.
wanted to talk about his faith. Like I'm
Yeah.
not trying to convert him. He's not trying to convert me. Like that's not the point, you know? But I think it is important to have those conversations. So I guess I do have to ask you, and this is gonna be another one. And don't worry, you don't have to say William either. Who is your favorite Catholic apologist or Catholic content creator that you worked with?
I mean, can I don't think I can separate Elijah and William. It's like the two natures. How do you separate them, right?
Like it's Elijah. Don't think I'm
Oh yeah, yeah.
hearing
Elijah
a lot
also,
about him.
he's amazing on so his whole thing is the papacy. He debates the papacy with Eastern Orthodox, and they're all scared of him. Nobody wants to debate Elijah. Yes.
Okay, then that's good to know. 'Cause I have actually, because I'm still getting the role of trying to get to know different people. I follow a lot of the group, like a lot of you guys who are in Williams WhatsApp group and all that. Like I follow a lot of you guys, but I've heard a lot about Elijah, and people have been telling me like, "Hey, you should look into it." And I was like, I've never done it, so I probably will after this. Another thing is what. So I guess another one is what would you. So if you had 5 minutes to sit down with anybody from the Bible, who would it be? And what would you talk about or ask?
Jesus? Can I say him?
Yeah, you could say him.
Yeah, Jesus, of course.
Okay, but what would you ask?
I mean, first I would ask him, why would you create me? That's what I would ask. That's the first question. And then after whatever he answers, it'll go from there, I guess. So,
See, see, I love how you said Jesus because my I whenever I answer this, people get shocked that I don't see Jesus. I always say either Saint Joseph or Paul.
okay.
Yeah, Saint Joseph because I have a very strong devotion to him.
Mhm.
Um, because his intercession I think has helped me more than anything. But Paul has I don't know why, but Paul for me has always been like one of my number ones, honestly. I think because he's wrote so much and he's like he's and it's funny because I mentioned this to Sam as well. I was like I'm like I feel like Sam and Paul would get along just because they're kind of because Paul was constantly like calling people out and stuff. Sometimes it cracks me up because same
Because
way.
they're both bald. That's why.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But I would love to learn from Paul. That's just again, that's just me. But I think it'd be great to have a conversation with him, you know.
Of
Or
course.
maybe even Saint Michael. Like, can you just imagine talking to one of the
Oh,
angels? Like that'd be
oh,
fire.
terrifying.
I know because people are like, do not be afraid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever seen like those videos and those memes of people saying like, "Me if I ever encounter an angel," and, and it's just they show like the supposed like what an angel would actually look like, and it always says, "Now I understand why they say do not be afraid whenever they would approach somebody." You know, I'm like, imagine what you have to look like in order to have to say every single time you encounter somebody, do not be afraid."
Yeah. Yeah. Straight up. Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite angel? Like out of the all the angels that we have? Saint Michael, Saint Raphael, Saint Gabriel?
I mean, Michael and Gabriel stand out for sure, but in different things. I think Michael has more of my curiosity, but Gabriel would be I feel like I'd wanna hang out with him more, you see? Like, Michael, I'd have a lot of questions, but like, in a good way, like, I wanna learn, you know, because there's a lot of, like, interesting things with him fighting the devil and him, fighting over the bones of Moses, like, I wanna know about all of that. But also, Gabriel is just I feel like he's always sent to, like, for example, he was sent to Virgin Mary. Like, I wanna be close to him for, speaking to Mother Mary. But we don't in the Syriac tradition, like, from ancient times, it's not the most angel devoted tradition,
Oh,
of
really?
yeah, yeah, like, the Copts are more, the Armenians are more, but the Syriac, including Chaldean, Assyrian Church of the East, like all of us, our tradition doesn't have the strongest angelic devotion.
Is there a reason why?
Because there were a lot of heresies in the early times, like you see it in Saint Ephraim's day, before him in Tatian's day, and even after in Severus's day, where people kept worshiping the angels, and so it kind of needed to be addressed so many times that like angelic devotion isn't it's kind of become like a reactionary thing where it's not so common to see.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
It's not like we're not against it. We believe in asking the angels for intercession, no problem. But it's just not in like the formal prayers and stuff.
You guys are more Marian devoted, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken?
very hot.
Huge Marian devoted. Do you have a favorite Marian apparition, or is there one that you guys stand with the most?
So the most common one, the most recent one and most attested one is Our Lady of Zaytun in Egypt. Personally, I like that one the most. The Hail Mary. So Roman Catholic scholars have said that Saint Severus of Antioch, who is a saint that is exclusive to us, actually instituted the Hail Mary prayer. It was in the baptism rite. So it's something that it comes from us too.
Okay.
Saint Severus, he wrote a lot of hymns about Virgin Mary. So you'll see like the highly Marian devoted Catholics, they actually like Saint Severus, even though he's on our side of like the apologetic fight, just because of his Marian devotion. They like
It's pretty cool. Do you personally have a favorite one that you was able to? Because I mean, you mentioned Our Lady of Lords, but what about you personally? Is that the one that you stick with as well?
the Lady of Zaytun.
Just 18, that's the one that you okay, and then, alright. So, do you think that we'd be able to do you think that there's a possibility of us ever being united again as one?
Yes.
You think so? Do you hope so?
Yeah, if you would have asked me a week ago, I would have said no.
Okay.
And now I'm saying yes. It's been a long time, years, since I was able to say yes again. But I think
And why do you what changed your mind?
these conversations with Elijah Yessi that I've been having. Yeah, and I've kind of, I'm trying to feel around some, like, of my Coptic priest friends to see their opinions on these things. What we're talking about, like, I don't wanna get into detail, but what we're talking about is for sure a big step. It's not full unity because we didn't even touch, like, the papal dogmas. We didn't even touch that. But the rest of the issue, it's a big step if we're able to land on these things.
And then so in terms of sacraments, you guys believe in all of them, right? You said you guys believe in baptism, confirmation, first communion, all of that. Is it similar to how the Roman Catholics celebrate it, or do you guys do it differently?
I would say, um, if anything, the traditional Latin mass would be closer to how we do it.
Okay. I've never been to a traditional Catholic mass, so how is it? Can you kind of go
So
into
the
that?
priest back is to the people. He's facing east. There's a lot of chanting, ideally no musical instruments. The chanting is very ancient, like it's not everyone chanting in whatever tune they want. It's an ancient way to chant that was delivered to us by Saint Ephraim. It's called the Beth Gazo, means the house of treasure. So it's 8 particular scales, and depending on the week, that's the scale that we're chanting it. And there's a lot of incense, like, we use the censer a lot. Every little thing has meaning, like, so, like, the chains on the censer itself, how to hold the censer, how many chains to hold at what times, where to stand on the altar, which direction to face and to go. So all of these things, we call it in Syriac, we call the liturgy, we have many names for it, but one of the names we call it is Raza. Raza means the symbols or the mysteries. That's the real translation, because there's so many symbolic things going on, and it's such a like it's it's indeed a mystery, and the mystery, of course, of the bread and the wine really turning into the body and blood of Christ.
Do
It really turns. It really,
Oh,
like,
okay.
the wine and the bread really become the body and truth. It truly do. So this is all happening, and obviously there's a choir. Was Saint Ephrem instituted a female choir, so which is not common if you see in the East. Like, the Copts don't have that, the Greeks don't have that. So this is something unique in the Syriac tradition. We have female choirs because of Saint
Mhm.
Ephrem. So this is all happening. It's a whole experience, the liturgy for us. It's not just kind of something to get done, to get it over with.
Okay. So another question, I've actually was asked this. So can a Catholic receive communion in an Oriental Orthodox church?
Okay, so if someone from the traditions that are recognized by the Syriac Orthodox Church today to be baptized and chrismated, with the origin of those things being the church. So, like, it happens where, like, Chaldean Catholics or Assyrian Church of the East will come to our parish. So by praying the liturgy with us from the beginning and saying the creed of confession, and in the creed of confession, there's an explicit recognition of 3 ecumenical councils: Nicaea, Constantinople, and Ephesus. When this is being said right before communion, when the person receives communion, it is taken as a confession of orthodoxy, and they are being received into communion, into the church.
Okay. Okay. So another question that's been also circulating around is what, or at least in your perspective, what makes an Orthodox a true Orthodox? Like a true
Well,
Orthodox person?
your question is, what makes Oriental Orthodoxy true, right?
No. What makes an Orthodox person an actual Orthodox? 'Cause
Oh,
obviously there's
okay.
a lot of misconception about different beliefs and all that. So in your opinion, what makes somebody an Orthodox?
Well, first, is he following Jesus of Nazareth? Does he love God with all his heart? And does he love his neighbor as himself? Does he, by his love for God, does he keep the faith of the fathers that was delivered to him? Or is he innovating? So I would say that is the mark.
That's
Obviously,
correct.
this is assuming he's in communion in the first place.
And then, okay, so I guess we'll go to that question. What makes Oriental Orthodoxy true?
That we keep the faith of the fathers, the faith of the Council of Ephesus in 431.
What makes you guys stand out from other apostolic churches?
Because we didn't compromise it. We didn't compromise that faith at 431. We didn't change it. We didn't say, when the council at in 431 said that Christ is one nature after the union from two, this is what we keep. We never updated. It's not an iOS update for us. We keep it how it is.
Okay. And why if anybody that's listening that maybe let's say just somebody in general who's maybe from a different denominations, not Catholic, not Orthodox or anything, but maybe they come from a Protestant background and they're like, you know what, I want to look into the apostolic churches. What advice would you give to them? You know, especially when it comes to Oriental Orthodoxy or what
I would
works.
say I would say keep in mind that in the primitive church, all the liturgies were not in Latin. They weren't all in Greek. They were whatever that area was, and they had their own tradition per area. and they all were very diverse, yet still in communion because they share the same faith. The only model of this that exists today is Oriental Orthodoxy.
Interesting. My I think my next one's gonna be what is the Bible verse that you go to when maybe you're struggling in your faith journey? Or do you have a specific story?
John, John 16:33.
And
Yeah.
what does that say?
In the world you have tribulation, but I have overcome the world.
Okay. All right. So I think that we are going to conclude this episode, guys. I hope that those are watching. I hope you guys are being edified by this. It's very interesting getting to really talk about this. So, can you go ahead and share with us where can we find you on social media?
Sure. So I have Twitter. Subdeacon Daniel is the handle. I'm trying to get my old handle back, but for now it's that one. And the YouTube Lions Den, like you said, thank you very much for that, Ari. It's just youtube.com/ Daniel Kakish.
Okay. All right, guys, I think this will conclude our episode for today. I hope this episode was edifying for you guys. I love getting to be able to talk to different people and getting to hear their stories, getting to hear about their faith journeys. Again, this is not a conversion thing where you guys have to convert to Oriental Orthodox. It isn't me trying to convert anybody. This is just us having a conversation. I really do appreciate you doing this episode with me, getting to talk with me like that. That really does mean a lot. And and I do encourage everybody that's listening to please go check out his channel, subscribe to it, follow him. If you guys ever have any questions about Oriental Orthodoxy, he's a good person to ask. I've asked him a lot of questions, and he can testify. William's group chat is a little brutal sometimes, but you know what though? He came in clutch during those times. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, for really just being here and for all the advice that you've given on this episode as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. God bless.
Okay. Thank you guys. God bless. I'll see you guys till next episode. Please go ahead, check out his channel. I'll be linking down everything down below, down in the description. If you're listening on Spotify, it's gonna be linked down. YouTube linked down as well. Up until next time, y'all.